So it's amazing because you'll see some similar themes. I think we're all saying a lot of the same, which is really fantastic to hear. But this is my title, but that's not who I am. I was born a metalsmith, and that was obvious when I came downstairs in the chainmail dress I made myself when I was 14 going to a bar mitzvah. But I was very efficient and strategic even at 14 because my necklace was built into the dress, as you could see. And that is not my midget boyfriend, that was my little brother going with me. So there's a lot that happened between making that metal dress at 14 and where I am today, but I'm not gonna go through all that. I wanna pick up about 2 years ago, fast forward, where my job, along with my great team, was to figure out what it means to hold Google in your hands. You know, Google had decided to bring the best of hardware and software together, and it was our job to create a design language for everything from phones to home to AR, VR, laptops, etc. So we started by looking to define that mission and then our personality in order to translate all of that into physical objects through a unified design language. But what does it mean to really, what does Google mean beyond the verb? What does it mean to be googly? So apparently we had to create our own definition back in the day because no one really could answer that. So we looked for clues in our copywriting, and we looked at our campus that looked like this. And we thought, nope, that's not where we're going in terms of product. And our software, which is colorful and looks like this. And we thought about the fact that we're unconventional and fun. And for example, you know, what other brand changes its logo every day? And we also thought about how we might belong within the sea of companies already out there. We thought about how much electronics look alike in the market, which the great thing is when you're late to the market, you get to stand back and look at your competition and go, we're not this, who are we? And I think you have to go deep into the DNA to answer that question, which is what we did. And that drove us to really want to have a more unique design position, but something that was also brand appropriate. So we organized a cross-functional effort to talk and debate all of these questions and explore all of the possibilities. After weeks of back and forth playing with many variations, we ended up with this statement as our internal rallying cry. And it might sound simple, but every word was debated. Should it be better electronics, better consumer hardware? We landed on things because that was the most open-ended, because who knows as we progress in the future what these things may be called, maybe just things. And we know that the company will continue to support the ecosystem that uses Google's platforms. However, we are putting pressure on our own products to become the best combination of hardware and software. And of course, working together to bring these products to everyone. So if that's our mission, the next question is, what is our personality? And we started to look at some of the consistent threads throughout our history. So we've always been human, as in authentic, approachable, and humble. We've always been optimistic, as in imaginative, bright, and curious. And we strive to be daring, as in confident and adventurous. The goal then was to translate these brand attributes into a design language, making sure that our products were uniquely Google, appealing to people, and clearly differentiated from some of the competitors you see here. And this is where we landed. Very different and feels like Google. Hopefully you agree. So in 2017, we launched our first cohesive hardware product line that was shaped by our design principles, which established our presence in the market with our own Google-branded hardware. A lineup of products that you feel belongs together, but we really wanted to make sure we didn't sacrifice the function or design of any one product, but wanted to make sure that it lathered up to a complete design language. And we wanted to offer many colors to make sure we had something for everyone. So next I'd like to share with you how we delivered on our design language of human, optimistic, and daring. First, human, which implies to us approachable, honest, and humble. For us, this means pure geometry along with materials that are unique to consumer electronics that enliven your senses, but designed to fit into your home and into your life, but hiding the technology and the interface until the moment where you need to communicate functionally. Optimistic was our second pillar, so we added some surprise in our colors and details. And our third, daring, challenged the status quo. Our VR headset was covered in fabric, our black and white phone had the punch of an orange button, and our speakers, instead of putting feet on them, had a silicone pad that you slapped on and magically would stay to any position that you wanted to have your speaker in. We also created some design principles in the process, such as using more than one material so that the products had a tactile feel that were visually emphasized by that graphic break, which we use in part as a visual clue for our user on most of our products. We added the surprise of pop colors where it made sense and used soft materials in unexpected places. Most of these materials had to be custom made in order to meet our performance as well as our aesthetic goals. Every moment has been deeply considered. Colors were chosen about where the product may end up on being used in the home or how it fits into your life, while always being consistent with colors, form, and details, even in our fabric cases. Our efforts are being recognized by the industry. We've won over 50 awards since our launch in late 2017, with press acknowledgements as well. But I must say, this one is my favorite piece of press of all times. And consumers are noticing too, which of course is the most important audience for us to make happy. And just a few months ago, in the end of 2018, Google received the honor of being named the Design Company of the Year by Fast Company magazine. Our story, along with our principles, are clearly resonating. So last April, we exhibited at the Milan Design Fair, sharing our point of view with 280,000 visitors from all over the world. It was not about selling our work there or our technology, but it was about making sure we were part of the conversation and would be a thought leader in design. So there's a wonderful woman, Lee Edelcourt, who has a company, Trend Union, and about 20 years ago, I remember she had talked about something called software, which was this idea that the way we'd be living with technology 20 years from then would be very different. Things we'd be working out of our home, we'd be integrating the hard and the soft together. And so Lee is someone I bring into the design group pretty much every year for her to give us her inspiring presentation. And she had seen our Google product pre-launch, and she said, "Oh my God, Ivy, that is exactly what I had imaged 20 years ago, because the aesthetic absolutely blends into the home." So what we did is we sent her our products, and she photographed them in the same Paris apartment 20 years later, because these photographs were shot 20 years prior, and gave her our products to shoot in the same apartment, and really to exercise the vision of how man and machine can live together in the home, softening the lines between them. I think we all believe that now the technology is here to stay in a way that I believe technology can make us more creative. We want technology to blend into our environment, not stand out. We had 2 audiovisual presentations running simultaneously side by side, comparing the images from 22 years ago with the current ones. And just for fun, we sent our actual hardware to a Dutch designer, Kiki van Eyck, who did miniature collages depicting the hardware, photographing them, enlarging those prints, and then had those images woven on a special jacquard machine. Her unique tapestry technique made the hardware almost look 3D, inviting people to touch. The rest of the experience was a series of still lifes made from domestic interiors, which brought to life our vision on how human-centered products could be harmonized into the environment seamlessly. The exhibit was a success, with the press feeling that the tech giant showed up surprisingly human in an intimate and beautiful way, which made myself and my design team very happy. So what I've just shared with you is a bit about our design process, but now I would like to share with you what is underneath all of that, which I believe is the real secret sauce. It's the people. The team is from all over the world, coming with expertise from all areas of design, UX, research, engineering, color and materials, having worked on a vast array of product categories, including furniture and fashion. I think only half the team had design technology prior. And in my role, I'm often described as an orchestra conductor, someone that is able to bring together a wide variety of people with different forms of knowledge. I think of it as knowing my instruments really, really well, and together we create the piece we want to play, and my job is to hold that vision, and if we need to have a little more drums or a little more saxophone, I call that in. As I see it, we're all the same, yet everyone is different. So the magic happens when people's gifts are amplified in harmony with one another. Remember that word harmony? It's going to come up later. I also make sure to create different events, getting the team together in unique places, mostly in nature. All devices have to be left on the bus. People remarked how time seemed to slow down the day we spent on this farm because they were taking in things differently. I think nature does that to you. It's the ultimate sensory experience with color, texture, sound, smell, and space all around you. On this organic farm, one had the choice of being a beekeeper or picking the perfect flowers among 145 acres and then learning how to arrange them, or picking tomatoes and enjoying them together. I believe an important element of creating together is trust and connection, and that's come up a few times today. We need to create other ways for that to occur outside our day-to-day work environment. I believe if you focus on yourself or your singular goals, you may knowingly succeed, but if you forget yourself and truly connect with others to focus on an audacious outcome, that's when unimaginable success happens. The other secret ingredient for me is place. My team recently moved into a building that was gutted on the inside and renovated just for design. We worked closely with the architects to ensure that the way we need to work is supported in this new space, picking all the textures, furniture, materials, and reflecting our aesthetic. I requested a space for a design library, which at first was questioned because they said, what do you mean? We're the company that digitized the world's information. However, I believe there's no substitute for holding a book in your hand. It's the aesthetic experience. And I think it's not about physical or digital, it's both and. The other thing I'm proud of is our use of both data and intuition, something else that was talked about today. On the surface, these two sources of information or intelligence seem contradictory. Data, facts and statistics collected together for reference and analysis, intuition, the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. So of the two, data has been the dominant or default driver of decisions, and on the surface it seems to be the safe and sure path. However, while valuable, data has become so big that it can dominate our thinking and feeling, which puts our intuition at risk, resulting in analysis paralysis. All the while, we have another form of intelligence instantly and readily available to us, our intuition. What we need to remember is that our intuition is our first instinct and another form of data. Some scientists are actually now saying that intuition may be the highest form of intelligence, because your intuition often knows what your conscious mind does not. Our intuition is information in which we're born with and have amassed over our lifetime. The amazing thing about intuition is that it can be thought of as a muscle. Every time we use it and trust it, it becomes stronger. And that brings me to design feeling versus design thinking. Human-centered design is not about designing for what people think or say they want. It's about designing for what people need. Designing for what people need is why we cannot solely rely on interviews and survey data from design research. That type of information only scratches the surface because we can only get out of people what they're able to articulate based on what they already know, as opposed to what we as designers might be able to imagine as combined with what our intuition tells us. This is why when designing for a future that does not yet exist, we need to gain a deeper understanding of people, how they think and how they feel, to truly provide what they might need from technology in the next 5 to 10 years. Which brings me to design feeling. Beyond solving a problem or enabling a task, what is truly important is how a product leaves us feeling. So it becomes imperative that we understand the emotional load layered underneath the cognitive, which reveals deeper dynamics and truths behind things. Tech changes fast, but deep human truths don't, and behavior does, but slowly. And so we created the Empathy Lab about 3 years ago. And actually, we loved the Sunday Magazine, California Sunday Magazine cover that we use as an example. But the goal of the lab is to help Google design better, more emotionally resonant products by solving problems at a deep level of human experience, blending the superpowers of the social sciences with deep listening and design thinking and feeling to inspire fresh areas of product exploration. And last but not least, making this personal, I wanted to share a little bit about what you might call the secret sauce of me. So besides being a product designer, I've also been the product designer of my life, and giving myself inputs that have shaped my understanding of the universe and creativity. Due to my curiosity, I have studied everything from transpersonal psychology to subtle energy medicine, but the study of sound and vibration has been a constant, as I believe everything is vibration, including our thoughts. So about 17 years ago, I started to bring what I had come to understand, I got very brave, from my own studies and offering it to my design team. At this time, I was head of design at Mattel Toys. So for 20 minutes a day, my team listened in a specifically designed sound chair to music with binaural beats in the theta pattern between 4 and 8 hertz that's associated with meditation and creativity. And here's what happened, and this is as demonstrated by a video you could tell is 17 years old. I found it. Anyway, she says, oh my God, I got 2 products out of this, sitting in this chair, 2 product ideas. And then I was gonna say, no, that fast forward to this month where I'm installing at the Design Center at Google these 2 instruments from a young woman who created a company called Tune Studio. And Tune Studio modernized a deeply studied pre-existing vibrational technology that's been used in science and medicine for the last 30 years that takes neural frequency sets that allow the body to operate at its highest potential, including creativity. And their objective is to solve the problem of modern day induced stress. So they created this process to upgrade the human operating system. We did an experiment with the design team about 6 months ago, just 15 minutes, no different than what I had done with them with binaural beats 20 years ago. And it's almost like instantaneous meditative state in terms of clarity of mind to approach problems, which is really what design does, is solve problems. So what you just heard was not monks chanting. That was 12, I'm going to need it again, 12 employees where I had found the fundamental frequency at which they resonated. I'll back up. What happened is I was observing when certain people brainstormed, nothing would happen. It could take 2 hours and no results. But yet other people, great things would happen. And I said, these people are on the same wavelength. These people are not. No judgment, just same wavelength. So I went to my sound teacher and I said, could I force these people to be on the same wavelength? And, with their permission. So he said, well, let's try an experiment, Ivy. If I come in and we find the fundamental frequency, everyone has a range. You know, if you tone, everyone has their own unique range of sound that comes from breath. And he said, well, let's take these 12 employees and let's get that range and overlap and find the place where they resonate. And then he embedded that in music in octaves up and down. I played it every morning in the design studio. And fast forward 2 years later and 6 projects later, this, as well as some of my other unique methods, I won the Chairman's Award for Sustainability of the entire company. So sometimes it's worth stepping out and taking a chance. So vibration underpins everything in the universe. No matter, no matter can exist without vibration. What got me interested in sound and vibration and understanding that connection was seeing the work of Hans Jenny in the 60s, who vibrated sound on a plate. And then as he changed the sound, these patterns formed, and different patterns formed based on the pitch of the sound. But then I met a man named John Reed, who created something, an invention called the cymoscope. And it's the first scientific instrument that can give a visual image of sound and vibration in ways that are usually hidden from view. So I think the cymoscope actually holds the same potential as the microscope and telescope. So what you're about to see is a film of the imprinting of sonic vibrations being fed through the cymoscope from a female voice and appearing on the surface of pure water. So I met John at a sound conference, and he asked me to send a sample of my voice holding a tone. So one day this video arrives. Now, the coolest thing about this, because I made a print of that moment, is, well, first of all, as you can see, we are designing every time that we make a noise or talk, except it's invisible. So keep that in mind. But then as you zoom in, I realized, I don't know if you guys can see, because it may not be big enough, there's 16 figures, is what I see in that circle. And that is exactly the first company I created in my 20s. I had 15 other employees. And I believe, at the end of the day, it's all about relationship and creating together. And I find it amazing that actually that is in my DNA, the fact of really, because what I realize my true gift is to assemble talented people and make magic together in the form of designing things. Because design creates culture, and culture shapes values, and values determine the future. So let's start by designing how we want the future to both look and feel. Thank you.